Well, let me welcome you to the conversation segment of the Signature Show this afternoon. One of the issues we are going to raise this Sunday is the crisis from which we are just coming out. Some people say we are not totally out of it, and that is the petrol supply crisis, for which many of us have slept at the fuel stations trying to get fuel, for which a number of businesses have virtually grounded, for which the women who go to the market every day complain to you that everything has increased in price because there's no petrol. Where is the challenge coming from? We were told initially that Nigeria got a supply of the wrong quality of fuel. Understandable. NNPC promised it was going to do something about it and hold some people accountable. We're not dealing with that this afternoon. But why did that simple disruption create so much crisis and pain across the country? Somebody's going to jail for trying to give out gallons of petrol at a party. That was rubbing in that something was wrong. I'm not an oil industry player. This afternoon I have Dr. Maurice Ibe. Dr. Maurice Ibe is a player in the oil industry, and he's working with two organizations to interrogate the situation and seek answers. Two organizations at the top, I will tell you what at the top means: Association of Distributors and Transporters of Petroleum Products in Nigeria, and IPMAN, the Independent Marketers, Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. Odibe, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
A lengthy opening, if you don't mind. Why did things go wrong? Simply because the wrong quality of petrol disrupted the supply chain.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your program, first and foremost. I really appreciate it being here. You mentioned the originating problem, which is the importation of bad fuel into the country. Granted, it happened. Very fortunately, NNPC as an organization quickly swept into action, tried to remedy the situation by bringing in good quality fuel that meets the standards of our motor vehicles in Nigeria. Beyond that, became a supply chain disaster. We are dealing with a situation in Nigeria where employees of the Association of the Distributors and Transporters of Petroleum Products in Nigeria have turned themselves into a cult, taking over the equipment of distributing these petroleum products across the country. Part of the disruption within the system became the aversion of these products, the inability of the owners of this equipment to have control and know and determine where their products were going.
Dr. Ibe, let me interrupt here. I want to be better educated. A distributor of petroleum products, a transporter, the owner of the truck that moves the product, he goes to a depot because he's the owner of the product, he buys it. It is destined to a particular location. The driver simply delivers. So how come you are attending a mere driver who drives the truck is the now person determining where the product ends?
It's not that simplistic. In a normal environment, your description will have been apt. But unfortunately, we are not dealing with a normal environment. We are dealing with a situation where a group has taken the laws into their hands, a group has taken over the control of assets, determine the movement of the products of these owners. Remember, the Association of Distributors and Transporters of petroleum products, majority of them also own filling stations. Some of these products are coming to their filling stations. But in a situation where their employees are now lording it over them, for an owner to load a product in a facility of depot, he is forced to cough out over 40,000 naira. 40,000 naira. Sometimes 48, sometimes more, on a tanker load. Remember, this is not part of the cost of the product he's loading. You have a union or association who lost themselves over these owners on trucks they do not own.
Educate me, doctor, educate me, please. Why I'm asking for this education is because I have sent you my driver with my truck to go to a depot, and I pay the depot. It is for the depot to load into my truck, and I pay your salaries and your wages. You drive my truck with the product to a station to offload. And you say, pay me 40,000 or 60,000 naira first before I can load it and truck it to the destination. Does that sound rational?
Rest by case. It's the most irrational behavior.
No, but doctor, tell me that's what happens.
It is the true situation. That is why the owners of these vehicles, the owners of these tankers, the members who own 80% of these vehicles that transport petroleum products across the country, decided to come together to form and rehabilitate their association, to take control of the delivery process, to take control of the equipment, to take control and take responsibility for where these products go, who gets it, how it's taken to the various filling stations in every locality in Nigeria, and also try the very best they can to monitor and surveil the activities of these drivers, make sure that their products are not being trucked out of the country, they're not being sold on the road before they get to the actual destinations, and also take good care of the welfare of these drivers. These drivers are employees of these gentlemen. These people are willing and ready to take good care of their drivers, provide good benefits, provide life insurance, health insurance, provide good welfare packages for these employees. Because don't blame the drivers. There is an elephant in the room that controls these drivers.
What is that elephant? Who is that elephant?
PTD, the Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association. That is the elephant.
The money being paid, is it officially paid to that petroleum tanker driver?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It can't say I'm stammering because I have paid the depot to take my products. Won't the depot load my products if I don't pay this first levy?
You will load, but you can't leave. This is just one portion of the problem. This group literally holds the federal government to ransom. This is a situation whereby every time anybody complains, they threaten strike. The history of petroleum industry strikes in Nigeria revolves around the threat of strikes by drivers under the PTD. And when they shout strike, federal government panics, the industry panics, the general public panics, everybody panics. Then you have panic buying. Before you could sneeze, you will see a long line on all the filling stations across the nation. So what are we saying? What we are now saying is that let the piper
dictate
the tone. I cannot invest 50, 100, 2, 3, 400 million, $1 billion naira in some cases, buying equipment and trucks, and let an employee that I pay to drive my truck take control of my equipment, determine my fate, and how I run my business. Something is endemically wrong with that situation.
Dr. Ibe, in other words, as I'm about to get out of this very laughable situation where drivers begin to determine when we get products, where we get products, at what price, because by the time they add additional cost, to getting the product by the first levy, the businessman has to recoup his funds somehow. And I may pay. Anyway, Dr. Ibe, there's another challenge. And that challenge may not fall squarely on the laps of those operating in the downstream industry solely. I'm told that subsidy its continuation or its removal also contributes to scarcity of products in the sense that it makes smuggling of the product outside of the country not just lucrative but attractive. And those whose trucks are being used to smuggle these products out of the country are the very people on whose behalf we are discussing. So, they are complicit.
Let me put it this way. There are agencies of government whose responsibility is to mine our borders. There are agencies of government whose responsibility is to monitor what is happening in the oil and gas industry. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in his good stead, had actually instructed most of the security agencies to collaborate with the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, of whom I consult for. The idea is to monitor, surveil, and assure that the illegal diversion of these products out of the country is checked. It is also to assure that we have abundance of these products for those of us who live in Nigeria. However, there has not been a tight-knit collaboration between the security agencies and the Independent Petroleum Market Association and also the Association of Distributors
and distributors.
So, fortunately, I consult for the two organizations, and what we are trying to do is bring everybody to the table. We want to provide a good operating environment for our members. We want to provide support to the general public. We want to work with the security agencies. We are reaching out to the police, the army, the civil defense, immigration, to all the security agencies to enable us put solid tracking and surveillance capacities all across Nigeria. This way, an owner of a truck can, in the palm of his hand, know where his truck is at all times. And once these systems have been put in place, then you can hold the owners responsible and accountable for what happens. We are working very hard on it. Within a short period of time, we will be able to deploy solid technology across the country. From the depots, we'll be tracking to the neighboring borders. We'll get involved Nigeria Civil Defense, road safety, immigration services, the military, the police. Every hand must be on deck.
Dr. Ibe, let me interject here. Sometimes it is better to walk the talk. Drug business, illegal drug business all over the world is a dangerous business. It takes lives. People end up with long jail terms and could be ruined. But for as long as the money coming from illegal drug dealing is so fat and attractive, daredevils still go into it. Analogously, for as long as the subsidy regime in Nigeria is so attractive, do you think that all this knitting together we've been talking about for more than 30 years will forestall it? Between this knitting together and telling us, let this subsidy be over and our fever will be over, where do you cast your vote?
You know, the truth of the matter is that the subsidy has to go at some point, but it has to be gradual. You can't overnight remove petroleum subsidy in Nigeria. That'll be a crisis in this country. It has to be done very, very gradually, and I think the government is trying its very best. to see how it can be married. This way, the pain will not be so much on the generality of the public. Frankly, the subsidy is the little benefit the man on the street gets from us owning these petroleum products in Nigeria, from having the resources God has given us. So it has to be done very painlessly, and it has to be graduated. It has to be done very in a way where it doesn't create unnecessary hardship to the generality of Nigerians.
Dr. Ibe, are we not postponing the evil day?
Well, the evil day is better postponed than crash the system. I think that there must be a way to do it. It can be done, it will be done, but there has to be a will. Somebody has to have the will and decide to have a system that can gradually weed out subsidy. You may never weed it out completely overnight, but it can be gradually done. And what it does is it allows even our members to bring in products.
I was coming to that.
It allows you to bring in products.
I was
If you
coming to
remove
that issue,
subsidy,
Dr. Ibe.
it
Good.
opens up the window for true capitalism in Nigeria. You can bring in products wherever you are, and you can sell dependent on the prices you buy. So it's a win-win situation for most, but we are worried that if you remove subsidy, the way people are canvassing for it to be removed, you may create a major distortion, an upheaval in the system, and a crisis that may rupture the progress that we've made over the years.
Dr. Ibe, let me draw attention to a situation that obtains now. If you go to the entire southeast, even while there was fuel scarcity in Lagos and Abuja, fuel stations in hamlets and communities had petrol. You drive in, you buy for 350 naira, and you drive out. If Armageddon would come by removing subsidy, why have the heavens not fallen in the southeast?
I don't know what part of the southeast you are referring to.
I can give you from Enugu to Owerri, to Mbise, to Ngokbala, to Onitsha, to Abakaliki. You couldn't buy petrol for anything less than 300 naira, and it was available 24 hours of the day.
Again, the southeast seems to be a little removed from the major centers of our crisis. The major centers of consumption, like you rightly said,
Lagos
and Abuja. You know, one of the things I think we need to do in this country is actually to determine the quantity of consumption of this product. We need to know how much fuel does Nigeria actually consume? How much fuel is needed to meet the demand in Lagos? How much fuel is needed to meet the demand in Abuja and all over the country? Kano, Kaduna, Bauchi, Sokoto, Port Harcourt, Enugu, and everywhere else. Part of the success or the major fundamental reason why most governments and corporations, private and public, succeed is planning. To plan, you have to have the data. You have to know what the figures are so you can plan. So long as the federal government, so long as Nigerians have not been availed, the numbers, the actual numbers, because all we'll be doing is guesstimations. If we know the actual capacity, consumption capacity of each city in Nigeria, it will go a long way in alleviating our problems.
Let me bring something else that will help us alleviate the problem, which I'm ignorant about, but those of you in the oil industry, you should educate us better. What has happened to the talk about Nigeria's modular refineries? Because we are told that a multiplicity of those modular refineries will make availability just simple and straightforward. Yet they're not coming on stream. What is responsible?
Responsible is the Nigerian behavior. When the modular refinery was floated many years ago, those who had contacts in high places rushed and got licenses without having the capacity to build. People who knew people who were in government quickly ran, got licenses for modular refineries. Meanwhile, they did not have the financial muscle capacity or otherwise to even dig a foundation, talk more, building a modular refinery. A friend of mine just commissioned his in Haji Ebema, I think it was last year, Walter Smith Petroleum. These are people who had the capacity. If these licenses were given to those who had the wherewithal to get these refineries, modular refineries working, we won't be talking about scarcity and all these refining problems today. Now, that's part of the things we want to do with our members. They have the capacity. They have the ability. We will bring the technology and know-how to this membership, both the Independent Petroleum Market Association, both the Association of Distributors and Transporters of Petroleum Products. We want to bring in value. We want to make sure that they are not just importing fuel forever and ever. We want to encourage them, want to bring technology to them, want to introduce them to those who have the capacity to join venture with them and build modular refineries everywhere we can in Nigeria. Nigeria cannot perpetually keep importing petrol. It will not sustain this economy. What we are doing is literally throwing away our God-given resources.
Dr. Ibe, would you accept that, would you recommend that the government revokes the licenses of those who are incapable and incompetent to establish those refineries, modular refineries, after getting the licenses?
Long overdue. Long overdue. If you are given a modular refinery license that has been with you for 20 years and you haven't been able to utilize it, when will you utilize it? When? When heavens fall? I think that we need to be proactive. We need to be a lot more proactive within this oil and gas industry. If you have been given an oil block, for instance, and for 20, 30 years you are sitting on an oil block, you haven't been able to explore or drill or produce, the government should revoke it. We shouldn't have those who think these things are their rights forever and ever. No. If you have been given an oil or modular refinery license and you've had it for 20 years, 15 years, and you have not been able to put anything in place, for God's sake, when will you be able to do it?
Two things I'm going to rope into one. These are theft of crude in Nigeria's upstream sector. Have you heard about it? The latest story saying that people don't burst pipes these days. They go right to the tap, open into their ship, and walk away, sail away. Have you heard about it? And what's your take on it?
It's a perennial problem. The issue of oil theft in Nigeria is historical. Of course I've heard about it. Who doesn't know about it? If you drive around the Owerri Port Harcourt Road, you will see people busting pipes and all these bunkering activities. It's all over the country. But I think what needs to be done is there need to be special task forces created to go to these nooks and corners, get to the communities where these things are. But beyond the task forces, you need to deliver economic dividends to those whose resources are being mined in their backyards. You can't whip a child without giving the child the goodies. I think that we need to do more for the oil producing communities. We need to get in those communities to dissuade them from bunkering, to dissuade them from breakage of pipes. There must be a semblance of government. There must be a semblance that they belong. These resources are within their environment. You can't be damaging people's environment without providing them economic benefits. You can't just keep whipping them and shouting, ignoring them without good economic dividends.
These goodies you are thinking about, will it include allowing these artisanal refineries to continue?
I'm glad you raised that issue. Very frankly, when I saw them destroying all the refinery, all the cake and
the contraptions this was used in refining.
If you ask me, I wouldn't go that route. The route I would have gone is to bring these communities together, encourage them. We talk about modular refineries. If these people can create these things out of nothing, if you bring them together, you can provide them the skills, you can provide them the know-how, you can provide them the technology. and bring them into our regular economy. Give them what it takes, training, technology, skills, money if possible, so that they can build real refineries and pay taxes to the government.
And then stop polluting the
And stop
environment.
polluting the environment.
Well, Dr. Ibe, I said to you that my producer was looking at me. I think his eyes have been red. He says, I'm about to breast the tape. 30 minutes gone. Dr. Ibe, your last word for our finding an answer to the perennial inconveniences in our downstream sector, and there are many. Accidents on the road, strikes that we've talked about, disruption in supply chain. How do we meaningfully, you've spoken at length, the last word on them?
Engage all the related parties, engage every agency, engage both the private and public sector, bring everybody together to work harmoniously so that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing, and we can be able to work together and achieve the dividends from the oil industry, and me, you, and everybody in Nigeria can enjoy the dividends of oil and gas in Nigeria.
Let us enjoy the dividends of the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. It's everybody's desire, but the Englishman says that if horses were wishes, then beggars will ride. But these days, beggars ride horses because when their faith is strong, who knows, a horse could come their way. Dr. Ibe, thank you very much for coming to the conversation. I want to believe that your wish will be an actuality, that in a couple of years to come, we can have a stable downstream industry to operate in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.